Welcome back to Worldview. Now, 1 year ago next week, I approached a broadcaster in the United States with an idea. You were about to go from 2 to 4 days per week of broadcasting, and how would you like an international slant on the news for your mostly U.S. audience? David Pakman said, hey, let's try it for a few weeks. And here we are. 48 times in the last year, David asked the questions, and I provided the answers. And this time, the shoe's on the other foot. David Pakman, welcome to Worldview.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this is really quite a treat, David, because quite frankly, if it wasn't for you, a lot of what we see here behind me and the fact that we're actually doing this now on a fairly regular basis would not be possible. I have to ask the question that I've never asked you. What was it that made you say yes back then, almost a year ago?
Well, I don't know if the answer is as exciting as maybe you would want, but we didn't have anyone else proposing doing this. And I thought, you had been on the show a couple of times, and it had gone well, and you had some good topics. And my dad had actually said, as you expand, you might want to have some kind of regular international news thing. And within a week or so is when you suggested us doing this. So it was like the perfect storm,
Well, your dad then is a very wise man. That's what we have to say. So I'm very interested in your background, David. I mean, you've probed and poked at me a little bit on and I'm curious now. A lot of people say to me, gosh, he looks as though he's so very young. How long have you been doing this broadcasting gig now? I mean, it's been several years, and how did you get into it?
Right. Well, so it'll really be 8 years this August, and I started back in 2005. I was an undergraduate at the University of Massachusetts, and a local community radio station, Valley Free Radio, which was our first affiliate, was just launching. And at the time, it was basically just sign up and you'll get an hour, it might be every week, might be every 2 weeks. And so I signed up and I started the show that way. And then that led to radio syndication of the program, podcast, and eventually the video version, which is now actually the most popular version of the show.
And how many, I hear the numbers every so often, but how many stations carry the show and where and why, and how did you get to those locations?
There's about 160 stations right now carrying the show. Now that includes radio and television.
Right.
Most of them are in the US, but there's a handful that are in other countries. And we got to them really just one at a time. I think after we had our first affiliate, Valley Free Radio, I was contacted by one other radio station saying, hey, it sounds like you're talking about national stuff, so could we broadcast your program? And that gave me the idea of saying, instead of waiting for them to contact me, what if I contact them and say, I have this program? So that's really the method, and it's been one station at a time now.
Wow. Now, as you've grown this thing, I've noticed that the role of producer Lewis has changed dramatically, and we see a lot more of Natan Pakman, who I assume is your brother.
Right.
What's it like to work with close friends 4 days a week, probably even more than that, to produce a program like this? Do tensions ever get strained?
No, it's pretty unremarkable, to be honest. I mean, I was worried maybe that there would be those types of tensions, but it really happened pretty naturally, which was, I think, back in 2007 or 2008, I suggested to Lewis that he just kind of help me out playing our audio and video clips and just kind of sit in the studio, and I wouldn't even really talk to him. And then eventually I bounced a couple of questions off of him, and that kind of developed. And then Natan started when we started the TV version as the technical person. And we had extra mics when we switched studios, so I said, well, we'll just put a mic in front of you in case you want to talk. And then it was, well, I know you're into this issue, so I'll run one question off of you. And it just kind of happened a little bit at a time.
And so this is unscripted, or is this scripted now at this point, the banter between you guys?
It's unscripted in the sense that we never decide, so on this issue I'll talk to you, or on this issue I won't. I mean, essentially the entire show is unscripted. I have no script or anything like that. We have no plans for who talks to who. I basically just have notes with bullet points about each story, and just it all kind of happens naturally.
Sure. Now, I know you've been very involved in attempts to raise funds for progressive media and progressive media outlets, and I'm not sure of the name, but I know Blue is in the name. Tell us a little bit about that effort and how you got involved, and I know you've got a couple of very interesting partners in that.
Right, so Our Blue Media started because about, really at this point, 18 months or so ago, I would get a lot of people who signed up to my paid membership program, and they would say, you know, I signed up through PayPal, for example, and on the 10th of the month, a $6 payment goes to you. But I also subscribe to the Young Turks for $10 a month, and my payment to them happens on the 16th of the month. It would be really great if you guys could partner so I could just have one payment per month and have all of my progressive media subscription, so to speak. And a friend of mine, Jay Tomlinson from Best of the Left podcast, was getting a lot of the same requests. So initially we kind of got together with the Young Turks, and we were thinking of it really as just a joint membership program. But then we said, well, there might be a bigger idea here, which is a platform that's not limited to just the three of our programs, and maybe it's not even limited to audiovisual programs. Maybe it could include progressive blogs or individual radio stations instead of programs. So we started doing some fundraising, and we raised about $20,000 to get a website built that will allow this. And the website now is kind of in its final stages of testing. I was in Washington, D.C. last week to really sit there all day and go through the minutia of the website, and we're getting some of the final updates done. And what it will allow you to do is to basically log on and say, okay, I want to pick a $5 a month subscription to this program and $10 to this blog, etc. And on the same day of the month, you will have one payment that happens. You won't be using PayPal or Amazon to process payments, which are big corporations that aren't particularly liberal. The payments will be processed by a smaller payment gateway called Democracy Engine. Right. So it's a win for everybody involved.
Oh, that's fabulous. And so you think this will be live relatively soon?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when. We thought it would already have been live by election time, so that gives you a sense of how wrong we were initially about how long it would take to develop. But hopefully soon, I guess, is what I can say.
Yeah, great. Now, what's ahead for the David Pakman Show and you know, your company, Vivid Edge Media? Where are you going in the future, and how are you building and growing?
Right, well, we're doing a number of different things. One is we're expanding the platforms that the David Pakman Show is on, so more radio and television stations, expanding to possibly other mobile platforms, and always exploring those possibilities. And then separately from that, we're starting to develop a lot of ancillary content. So blogger Bill Scher, who happens to live nearby, now produces his program at our studio. We produce the video version of it and manage the YouTube channel. We're working with David Schuster, formerly of MSNBC and Fox News, doing a video version of his program, and a number of other hosts at We Act Radio in Washington, D.C. And we're working with you, of course, and there's a lot of things in the pipeline. So I think there's kind of two simultaneous goals. One is grow the David Pakman Show as much as we can, because that's really the program that is deriving, 95% of our revenue currently. And then separate from that is start to create programming that is part of our network, but that is not hosted by me, which really allows for scalability, because I can only host so much, and if we have programming that doesn't depend on me, it'll allow us to grow faster.
Well, fabulous ideas, David, and I have to tell you, it's been a real pleasure for me to be associated with you and Louis and Natan, and looking forward to a second and many other years beyond. We've been speaking with David Pakman. He's the host of the syndicated television program, The David Pakman Show, seen in hundreds of markets across the U.S. David, give us the exact Eastern Standard Time that the show airs.
So 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Thursday. If people go to youtube.com/The David Pakman Show, we live stream 4 times a week.
Okay, wonderful. David Pakman, thank you for joining us here on Worldview.
Thank you.
And we'll be back after this. You're watching Worldview with Denis Campbell.